What's up, everybody? Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Kong news roundup. And I cannot believe we're on to the era of another MonsterVerse movie already. Did New Empire not just come out and also is not out yet? Like, is it not about to come out? It kind of blows my mind how fast time moves, because it really feels like New Empire should still be right around the corner rather than having been out for a year now. Ugh! Wow. But today we will be recapping the events from June, which means it's time to talk about the MonsterVerse's next director and next release date, as well as some early information on what we can look forward to in this next movie. If you're like, hey, isn't this old news? Well, it's from June, so you know, that's probably why you know it already. But we're gonna do an analysis today because I feel like there's a lot of important stuff to go through here. I'm excited. Let's get into it. Starting out with some artwork like always. This first piece, what is it? Like an art piece, a Photoshop? I don't know. This first piece was shared by Mr. Goji, although the artist remains unknown, and it shows the Godzilla gang, Godzilla, Kong, and Shimo taking on the mighty Kaiser Ghidorah MonsterVersified in Hollow Earth. I honestly wanted to show it off less of for the team up to be like, would it be cool if Shimo was involved in the team in the next movie? Because in my opinion, maybe not. Shimo's just a little overpowered, so I would prefer if Shimo stays to guard the apes while Godzilla and Kong go off to fight without her. But I wanted to show off this awesome Kaiser Ghidorah art. If anybody can identify the artist, please let me know. It's incredible. I love the art style, first of all. Wonderful 2D art style. It looks very much like some of the art that was back in the King of the Monsters era, so it might be an older piece, but it looks so cool. I'm down to bring Kaiser Ghidorah back. I think it has been enough time since King Ghidorah's defeat to bring Ghidorah back and have it be new and interesting. In order for that to happen, you have to make Ghidorah a different threat than he was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and transforming King Ghidorah into Kaiser Ghidorah would be a wonderful way to do so. You could either have Kaiser Ghidorah be the revived King Ghidorah based on maybe some remaining DNA that Alan Jonah has, or you could say that Kaiser Ghidorah was maybe the father of King Ghidorah coming from outer space to take on Godzilla and Kong and get revenge against Godzilla. That could also be a plot line. Who knows? It has been teased by actor Dan Stevens that maybe there will be some space monsters in the next movie, and so maybe this could be where we're heading. I doubt it, but I'd love it. All right, these next pieces come from JDO Joe. Is it Jaden, right? It was Jaden. That's what the old Twitter handle used to be. Pretty sure. Gare Goji, I think. Godzilla fighting Scylla 2014 style. The lighting's incredible. Wonderful recreation of that 2014 style. Especially love the orange on Godzilla's chest. And I love the visual of Godzilla taking on Scylla in this format. I wish we could have spent more time with that fight to give it a real proper treatment as an epic battle rather than just a montage piece. But it's such a cool artwork here. There was another one that was a recreation of Godzilla's charge up to Atomic Breath the Muto. This was like spot on recreation. This next one's very awesome, again, very 2014 style, showing Godzilla taking on Biollante, a really cool angle as well. And I love that Biollante is kind of obscured here, obscured while Godzilla's charging into frame, looking awesome. Again, I love the use of the orange light in these images. And then finally, this piece is a recreation of some of the Godzilla King of the Monsters concept art of Godzilla entering his lair, featuring Godzilla 2014. It's all the 2014 design. I also actually really like the J logo, the way it's kind of like -1-ish, the way that you've got like maybe a little Godzilla roar going on in there and then spines on the J. Looks really cool. It is time. While we don't have a title, many people are calling the new MonsterVerse film Godzilla x Kong 3, which I think is weird because like it went from Godzilla vs. Kong to Godzilla x Kong the New Empire to now Godzilla x Kong 3, but we'll call it that until we get a title. There's some other rumored titles out there, but you know, for now it's GXK3, that's all we know. But we got confirmation on who the new director of that movie is going to be. The next MonsterVerse director will be Grant Sputore, or Sputore. How do you say it? I think it's Grant Sputore, to be honest with you, but I'm not sure. To be fair, I also pronounced Michael Dougherty's name Michael Dougley the first time I ever read it, so I don't have the greatest track record. I also used to think I called Adam Wingard Weingard. Who knows what I called Jordan Vogt Roberts. Grant Sputore has joined the MonsterVerse as the MonsterVerse's fifth director and sixth film in. Kind of crazy that the MonsterVerse is 6 films in now. Less than a month after Adam Wingard left the MonsterVerse, it was announced by The Hollywood Reporter that Legendary had snagged I Am Mother director Grant Sputore as the director for the next MonsterVerse film. Sputore started out as a commercial director and worked his way up to directing an indie sci-fi cult classic, I Am Mother, in 2019, proving that there's hope. There's hope for people like me. Actually, I think that this YouTube channel might have killed my dreams of ever being in the MonsterVerse, but I'm so excited to see what Grant Sputore does. I have to check out I Am Mother. I'm excited to see what that movie's about. I've heard good things about it, so I'm very curious to see how it is. I'd also never seen a film from any of the other MonsterVerse directors by the time they were first announced, so it's not like I'm out of my ballpark here. This new film was described by The Hollywood Reporter as a continuation of the franchise centering on Godzilla and Kong and an assortment of other titans. Godzilla and Kong back together again. You guys know my thoughts. I think it's going to get a little tired, and I do think you're going to see a decline at the box office. Not that I'm opposed to seeing Godzilla and Kong back on screen together. I'm all for it. I do think that there needs to be some space between Godzilla and Kong team-ups, though. So I hope in the future we get a Godzilla 3 following this movie, and then maybe after Godzilla 3 you can bring him back. Even if it's every other movie, you know? I do think some space would help to make it feel more like an event. But Godzilla and Kong are confirmed, as well as an assortment of other titans. At one point that would have meant a lot, like back in the King of the Monsters era. That would have been really exciting to hear. Nowadays it's like, of course, there's the Hollow Earth. Titans exist everywhere. So I don't know if it's all that exciting that we know there's going to be an assortment of other titans. Of course there's going to be. You could say that there was an assortment of titans in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, although they were more like smaller super species, although I don't think Apple TV Plus knows the distinction, as they were still called titans. But yeah, there were smaller super species all over that show, like the Frostvark. So I do think that that's probably what we're going to see. Godzilla, Kong, the big bad, maybe Shimo, maybe Mothra, probably Zuko. It'd be hard to remove Zuko at this point. Hopefully Rodan, fingers crossed. Grant, please make my dreams come true. But yeah, I think of course there's going to be a bunch of titans. There's the Hollow Earth. I saw some people a little concerned that Grant Sputore is like too new, too fresh. He's never really done much before. That's great. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I talked to a producer in Hollywood making a big Hollywood movie. I was on set for, it was in theaters, and the producer of the movie who I was speaking with did know Jordan Vogt Roberts and was speaking about Jordan Vogt Roberts' experience on the MonsterVerse and was like, oh yeah, you know the reason that they do that they hire new directors? It's because studios, sometimes you see they do that with other franchises as well, but the MonsterVerse is particularly special in that they have always given the olive branch to new directors, which I have always thought was an awesome thing. And he's like, no. It's because they don't have the backing to be like Christopher Nolan, where they get to bully the studio around and be like, this is the way I want the movie and I'm doing it my way. It's so that the studio can come in and be like, absolutely not, you're going to be doing this. And the director has to go, okay, yes, you're right, and do what the studio says. Which I honestly don't think is the biggest issue, because from every single report, whether it's Gareth Edwards or Michael Dougherty or Jordan Vogt Roberts or Adam Wingard, all of them have said that the MonsterVerse has been incredibly gracious. Legendary has been incredibly gracious in giving creative control to directors. Of course, the studio has some influence over what happens with the movie, but I'm not too worried that they're going to grab Grant Sputore and say, you have to make this movie the way Adam Wingard would have, or you have to make this movie the way Gareth Edwards would have, or you have to make a Christopher Nolan styled movie. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that they are going to allow the creative freedom for Sputore to do what he wants to do, and I'm very excited about that. The other MonsterVerse directors were also all pretty fresh directors. As far as feature film goes, and I don't even know if all of these were theatrical releases, but as far as feature film goes, Gareth Edwards had only done one with Monsters in 2012 before Godzilla 2014. Jordan Vogt Roberts, while he had done some television shows, had only done The Kings of Summer in 2013 before Kong Skull Island. Michael Dougherty had done a couple TV shows and such, but had only done Trick or Treat in 2007 and Krampus in 2015 before Godzilla King of the Monsters in 2019. Adam Wingard's slate is a little confusing. He's got a lot of indie films on there, and I have no idea how big or theatrical any of these were, but he had Homesick, which was an indie film in 2007, Pop Skull in 2007, A Horrible Way to Die in 2010, Autoerotic in 2011, What Fun Were You Having in 2011, and then finally his big theatrical films, You're Next in 2011, The Guest in 2014, Blair Witch in 2016, and Death Note in 2017, which I guess was on Netflix, but still. So Wingard was by far the most established MonsterVerse director, with over twice as many credits theatrically as the other MonsterVerse directors. But Grant Sputore's one credit, I Am Mother, is a beloved science fiction film, and I've heard really good things about it, and so I'm very hopeful for where this next movie's going. I'm very excited to watch that movie and to try and get a sense for Grant Sputore's feel. Although I will say, Adam Wingard's movies, the ones that I have watched, The Guest, which I think is an incredible movie, I love that movie, Blair Witch, Death Note, You're Next, none of those feel like Godzilla vs. Kong. That movie came completely out of nowhere as far as Wingard's pictures were concerned, in my opinion. Following the announcement that he would be the next director, Sputore gave a little bit of a quote, I believe straight up to Kaiju News Outlet, giving his thoughts on the fan reception, saying, I especially appreciate the warm welcome from long-term Godzilla, Kong, and MonsterVerse fans. Thank you for all kinds of words. All I want to do is to make a great movie for all of us. And that's all you can want a MonsterVerse director to want. All you can want any filmmaker to want is to make a good movie, and I'm really curious to see what we get coming up. Finally, the release date for the next MonsterVerse movie was confirmed for March 26th, 2027. It's a little ways away, coming out 3 years after Godzilla Kong the New Empire, almost the same way we had to go through for Godzilla 2014 to Godzilla King of the Monsters, so they should have enough time to cook this next movie and to make it something really special. It seems like they've had a little less than a year, you know, July to March to work on the script. Seems like filming is actually going to happen about 1 year after Sputore signed on, so maybe a full year to work on the story, hopefully. Hopefully they've been working on the story this whole time, as GXK was a very rushed production, and I feel like you can feel that in every aspect of the script. I also hope they've been unifying this story with Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I would really hope. They've had a lot of time to do that, so hopefully. The March 26th, 2027 release date's quite interesting. First of all, Godzilla might have another back-to-back movie release here, as I could very much see Toho releasing the next Takashi Yamazaki Godzilla film in November of 2026, and then we get another MonsterVerse film in March, repeating that epic 1-2 combo with Godzilla Minus One and Godzilla Kong the New Empire, which, while it did kind of pit those films against each other directly, creating a lot of comparison and a lot of debate in the fan base, undeniably both movies did very well. It was like Toho's most successful Godzilla film of all time and also America's most successful Godzilla film of all time. Maybe not of all time, adjusting for inflation, King Kong vs. Godzilla is, but you get what I'm saying, right? As far as what we know is going up against the New Empire, there is an unconfirmed DC movie. We don't know what it is, coming out March 5th. I guess it could be anything. I would expect it'll be like an animated movie, or it'll be a movie that changes its release date, because we don't know anything about it yet. It's also another Warner Bros. Film. Not that it'd be uncommon for Warner Bros. To release 2 films back to back. I suppose they did the exact same thing with Dune Part 2 and then Godzilla Kong the New Empire. So I guess we'll see. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 comes out on March 19th. That could be dangerous, because unless Sputore changes the tone of the next MonsterVerse movie, that is going to be a head-to-head children's/family movie film going up against another children's/family movie film. Especially worrying because those Sonic movies are actually pretty good. No, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 did not make as much money as the New Empire, but the more Sonic movies come out, they seem to grow in popularity, going from 300 million to 400 million and now nearly 500 million at the box office, whereas the MonsterVerse kind of teeters depending on the movie. So I could see that being a bit of a problem. I know some people wanted to be like a Barbenheimer 1-2 punch with Oppenheimer Barbie, but first of all, the movies don't come out on the same day, so it's not going to be the same type of event. Also, Oppenheimer and Barbie were capturing entirely opposite ends of the theatrical spectrum, so that was not like 2 of the same movie being released at the same time. So I am a little nervous about that, to be honest with you. Also a little nervous because Avengers Secret Wars comes out May 7th, which is 2 months later, but boy, the last time Godzilla went up against the Avengers, he lost big, with Godzilla King of the Monsters and Avengers Endgame. Godzilla Kong coming out 1 week after Sonic makes me nervous, but March has been pretty successful for the MonsterVerse, as Godzilla Kong the New Empire came out on March 29th and went on to be the highest grossing MonsterVerse film. Kong Skull Island came out March 10th and was the highest grossing MonsterVerse film for many years. Godzilla 2014 came out in May, but Godzilla vs. Kong came out March 31st, and in a non-pandemic world would either be the #1 highest grossing or #2 highest grossing film of the MonsterVerse. So basically all 3 of the top 10 MonsterVerse movies came out in March, with 2 of the 3 coming out in late March, so I can understand why they would want to hit that March 26th release date. It does seem like a pretty solid one for them to aim for. It's just that Sonic competition seems a little scary. One fan has already celebrated, and that's Tom.Arts, who released this Soniczilla artwork, showing the team up between Godzilla and Sonic, and celebrating that we will get both movies back to back in 2027, which will be pretty awesome for those of us that like both of those franchises, but I do worry that Sonic coming out first is going to eat up the box office potential that Godzilla Kong could have had with that younger demographic, which will be pretty detrimental considering Warner Bros. Has been on and on and on about the fact that they think New Empire did so well because it appealed to the younger demographic. For that reason, I suppose I could see Godzilla Kong moving dates, but I don't know, man. It's far away. I guess we'll see how things progress. Ultimately, so far, the MonsterVerse has been doing better than Sonic, so maybe they're not too afraid. Thank you guys so much for joining. Big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.